Okay, welcome to the first episode of Kandid Conversations, the Small Business Skype Chronicles. And our first chronicle is with guest owner, business owner, Will Adams. The title of this showing, this chronicle is Closing Business Deals by Turning Product and or Service Features to Benefits. And our featured small business is Radio Joe's Amazing Sound Productions Incorporated, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky. The URL to this company will be available on the link, or I guess the text area for the publication of the video, and you'll be able to click on that. To go to this company's website and see exactly what they do. But essentially, what we want to do is let's first go into the details of who Will Adams, the guest owner, is, and then take a deep dive into what it is that he does for small business and business in general, and some of the advice and ideas that he has for how small businesses can better portray their business models in the marketplace, government contractor or not, and do so in a manner that allows them to essentially close deals effectively, but at the same time be in a position to where they're forming relationships. Now, a little bit about Will Adams. Will Adams is a commercial voiceover artist located in Louisville, Kentucky. He has voice series for Discovery Channel. He's done narration for the United States Army, my alma mater, as well as countless commercial projects for the likes of Old Milwaukee, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Free Credit Report, Churchill Downs, Smith & Wesson, M&P, Ford, and Caesars Casinos. And he also is an in-demand voice coach, something that we're going to touch on in our discussion this afternoon. And then finally, he has a book that will be published next year on Putnam Press, and it's entitled Commercializing Your Natural Voice. And so without further ado, I would like to bring Mr. Will Adams into the conversation. And how are you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm good, Rudy. Coming to you live from the booth here at Radio Joe's. So it's been a busy day, but we're hanging on.
Okay. Well, listen, I just wanted to share with anybody that might listen and view this video that Will and I have been in a perpetual dialogue for some time. As a small business owner, one of the things that that I recognized right off the bat was that here's a guy who's been through the rigmaroles of exactly what it takes to start a business and then to secondly run a business, which are two totally different things. But then more importantly, here's a guy who's taken the time to reflect on exactly what that definition is, and he is able to communicate it very effectively. And so I'm glad to have he and his company be our very first guest on the Kandid Conversation series that we have initiated. And so, Will, what I want to ask you is, please tell us a little bit about, first of all, before we get into the exact services, the products that you offer, the difference between commercial broadcast network as opposed to the presentation of one's brand on the web, and how you differentiate that in your business model.
Well, similar to what we do, we used to do radio commercials. Thus the name Radio Joe's, but that's really turned into these days audio products, and that means audio products for the web, longer form stuff on the web for your products, like short videos highlighting a product. And we do a lot of that. We've got a big portfolio, as most production companies do, of medical, commercials and audio products.
Okay. let me ask you this. Relative to those products, how do your services, now these are the services that I know that you perform. And here's the thing. We talked this, Will. Most small businesses don't really understand the value of a company like yours until it is thrust upon them by angel investors or perhaps equity investors who see and recognize the necessity to expand their brand in a manner outside of what they control. And so one of the things I want to do is give you the opportunity to explain exactly how you do what you do in the context of any and every small business. So here are the services. You guys do executive speech consulting.
Yes.
You guys do demographic research.
We take advantage of demographic research. We know how to find it and interpret it.
Okay. And I want you to kind of, lay down a contextual foundation for that. But then you also write commercials.
Yes.
Record the commercials. You create jingles. And you also do sound design and equalization, a form of audio customization. What I want to give you the opportunity and give you the floor to do is to explain what it is that you do that would be of benefit to a small business owner when a small business owner doesn't recognize that this is an area that they need to invest in at an early stage in their growth trajectory.
Okay, so much of your brand, at least the human part of your brand, is speech, and a lot of small business people don't think about how they encounter the public with their speech. Their on hold message, for instance. What is that? Is that is that you? Is that somebody at the office? That's something that people encounter. Once you have people on hold, you have products that you may need to sell. Your tires may be on sale this week. Are you going to let them just sit on hold, or are you going to sell them something while they're on hold? These are all things that small business people need to think about. Now, whether you need to do broadcast advertising or not, that really all depends on the size of your business. Sometimes it's a mistake to do that, whereas other times it's an essential thing to do that. But on the web, an audio company can save you a lot of time and bring up the quality of what you're doing. And the main thing we do is we save you time. If someone's yutzing around with some recording thing that they found on the web trying to record a message for their company, they're wasting hours and hours, and those people are income producers. They need to be on the line doing what they do. And so more, big companies use us all the time, but more and more small companies are figuring some of these things out and coming to us for these services.
So let me ask you this. All right. So you're saying that essentially, and we, again, we all know that every entrepreneur out there believes that they can do everything, which may not be a fallacy, right? I mean, they may be, but they can't do everything perfectly or properly at the same time. That's the problem that most smalls and entrepreneurs have, or the leadership of most smalls have. And so what you're saying is that you guys represent a value proposition to a firm that says if you are able to rationalize the idea of market penetration and the true outcome of your efforts as opposed to simply doing it for the sake of doing it. For instance, we think that, we have to put a website up. We have to put some sort of commercial presentation out there for people to come. But we never measure or never think to measure exactly what the reciprocal outcome is going to be. What you're saying is that you guys as a profession, your goal is to make money or to generate capital or to increase revenues for firms as a result of your services, yes?
Yes. I mean, you should as a reasonable prospect, you should make at least $3 on every dollar you spend on advertising. At least $3. If you're not making, you spend $1,000 on advertising and you don't have $3,000 to show for it, something's not working, and it needs to be examined. It doesn't necessarily mean your advertising is bad. It just might be in the wrong place, or maybe your advertising's in the right place, but the commercial's bad. but something needs to be examined. But that's a basic bar that anybody who's buying media, whether it's magazine, radio, TV, whatever, spend $1,000, I better have $3,000 to show for it, or something's not working.
Exactly, and again, we're talking about this. This also helps out, and I'm not sure if you know about this, but essentially, like within each of at the federal level, government contractors, at each of the social economic levels, they have to submit a business plan. Particularly one program in particular, the SBA 8A program, on an annual basis, they have to submit a business plan that defines how they're going to market to the federal government or their marketplace. And when they get into it, the SBA 8A program is a 9-year program. What happens it's broken into 2 segments. There's a 4-year, inaugural period, but then there's a transitional period in which you are expected to not only pursue government contracts, but also private sector contracts. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you have to submit on an annual basis is a business and marketing plan.
Right.
And as part of that marketing plan, one of the things that I think, and I do know that they share this information with banking institutions, that they are, for instance, if you're looking for additional funding, things of that nature, what they're doing is, if they're doing it right. Now, some there are a lot of there are a lot of district offices across the country that may not follow this procedure. But what they're supposed to do is read the business plans and marketing plans first off, and then secondly, look at them and find the points of nexus between what they're trying to accomplish and getting these things funding. And so one of the things that you're talking about is exactly that, which is, again, when you're talking about market exposure, the idea behind many of the federal government socioeconomic programs is to get to get small businesses initiated into the marketplace by virtue of these programs, but get them off of the proverbial government tit and get them self-sufficient with a balanced portfolio of both government and private sector contract opportunities. One of the things that affords that is what you offer, right? So now what I'd like to do is segue into the question set that speaks directly to the executive management of most small businesses, and that is to ask you the question, how and in what manner do you consult with executives of small businesses?
What do I do for small businesses?
How do you consult with them? I asked you this question. One of the things, okay, so here's what you gave me in our offline conversation, and I was taking some good notes, right? You said that you taught them to read out loud. You spoke to the fact that there's 2 voices. Talk to us a little bit about that.
That's a thing that is difficult for people to do. We recorded so many people that weren't professionals, and we'd get them in the booth, and and it'd sound great before they went into the booth, and then they'd come into the booth and they would be all stiff, and we searched for years, why does that happen? Are they nervous? We thought maybe they were nervous, but it wasn't that. As it turns out, people just can't read out loud in a conversational voice. They just can't do it. We were taught in the 3rd grade to read out loud from a reader. It went around the room, and we sat there and just heart-stricken panic, man, as it become closer and closer. And then there it was. You'd stand up, stripped, intellectually nude in front of your peers, and mumble through some, Jack and Jill thing, and then sit down in a cold sweat. And that's our initial imprint of reading out loud in front of others. And so we teach people that the written word is supposed to be vocalized like you speak, not like you think the written word should sound. You need to turn it into your own words. And so there's a certain way we teach people to read and prepare to speak that helps them do that, and overcome really that child-stricken fear of reading out loud.
Well, let me ask you this. Closing a deal. Well, you know that the lifeblood of every firm is closing deals. that turn into revenue generating endeavors. The question I have is, at the end of the day, if I'm an executive listening to this, I'm saying, hey man, you know what? If you're saying that the closing of the deal, any deal that I want to pursue, comes down to, in essence, how I communicate the message of my business, not so much the substance, but literally how I communicate it. Tell me definitively how you would go about doing that, and what would it entail on my part to get to the point where I'm where you say I should be. That would not guarantee a deal, certainly, but certainly in heighten the probability of closing a deal.
You know, you want to be relaxed. And when you're in your conversational voice, or when you're using your conversational voice, you are at your most relaxed. And that's an important vibe to put off when you're closing a deal. People are tense. And so, you know, the better that you can present the facts or the features of your product, but in a natural voice, that it's coming truly from you, from your, and it sounds, you know, like it sounds organic, that you know these things. It puts the person at ease, and it allows you to more naturally turn, you know, the features of that product into a benefit that directly affects that person. Because sales, really, whether it's selling to the government or whether it's selling to B2B or whatever, it's still about relationships and about people. Mm-hmm. And you know, if you're stiff and you're you know, having a difficult time getting through written materials, then that makes people uncomfortable. Whereas, you know, if you truly have a relaxed and trained sense of how to read stuff out loud, you're a good public speaker. You can present things well. And in these circumstances, these are where the big fish swim. You know, lots of guys can get in a room with one person or two people maybe and get on through the sale and stuff like that. But, you know, you're sitting there in front of, you know, 15, 20 procurement people for the government, and you're presenting, you know, some kind of thing that, you know, if it goes through, it's big. You know, you need to be able to do these things. And if you don't, you're not going to be fishing in the deep waters. You're just not. And the guys who are fishing in the deep waters know this stuff, and they're taking action to make sure it's in order.
Right. You know, I can tell you, I liken presenting before a board of directors with presenting before a government procurement, you know, board or group of procurement personnel, that type of thing. It's the same thing. You know, it's really a function of them recognizing some intangibles in you, presenting what they know is canned material, right? But they recognize something in you. And what you're saying is that your firm is able to not only portray that in the external messaging, but you're also able to train or to infuse certain characteristics into the executive management of Smalls, so that they can, in essence, perform in the same manner in which the corporate Fortune 500 company executives that you've trained perform. So I get that, and I'm hoping that comes across loud and clearly. Now, let me ask you this. You are located in Kentucky. Is that a hindrance to somebody in Los Angeles, California, or New York City? I mean, you know, or Miami, Florida. If you know, how do I do business with you tangibly and not sacrifice the presence that I need to maintain in my day-to-day operations?
Well, I mean, you know, so much of it's digital now. I mean, the whole tyranny of place has been usurped by a tyranny of time. Mm-hmm. You know, why should you go to one place or another for this sort of thing? You can do it, you know, directly, digitally, just, you know, no transportation, no lost time, none of that stuff. We're sitting here face to face having a conversation. These coaching can take place in the same manner. There's no need to really be in a place. It has to do with time. You may want it today. You may need it this week. You don't want to fly somewhere and get it done.
Right.
And so.
Right now, right, you and I talking. If I wanted to consult with you, right, and I wanted to get the benefits of your tutelage, I could do that via this medium, something very similar to this, right? Where we're talking via video conference, and you're confident that you could convey all of the same ideas and same capabilities that you would if I was sitting there right next to you.
Sure, yeah, maybe even better, because I had one student come here one time and he got rear-ended. He got hurt. I mean, he was okay eventually, but it took like 6 weeks. Where it could have been on Skype, at least it had his truck.
Right.
Right.
So, well, no, we know the time saver. Listen, I'm saying, and listen, the folks that we're talking to are not stupid. I mean, I'm saying a lot of the obvious so that I can pull out the obvious. The fact is that now more than ever, time matters. Time is the one premium that none of us have as much as we'd like to have, nor will we ever have as much as we'd like to have of. And so what I'm trying to convey is that essentially, our audience has the ability to have a coach to some degree that can also serve as a catalyst for the message, their ultimate business message. So it's basically a cradle to grave type service offering, and that's why I thought talking to you was so important, because one of the things, and we've got a guest coming on next week that does something akin to what you do, but in a more subtle manner, insofar as helping small business owners to hone and develop their executive acumen. It's important that you invest as an executive as much into yourself as you do into your business, because you are the poster child for your business. When people buy your business, make no bones about it, they're buying you, because you are the representation of that outside of the external marketing and that type of thing. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was point out the fact that you guys, with your business model, which is very unique, offer the ability to not only help the executive to develop and hone his or her skill set from a communicative standpoint, but also, by extension, develop a business brand that exemplifies the same. And so what you have here is a continuity between the two. And what Will essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is, listen, in this day and time, we can do both, and we can do both quite economically, which brings me to my next question. So, what is the time frame of an average engagement with your firm? If I'm an executive wanting to procure your services, and what is the average cost model of that?
Costs can vary all depending on where we're going. If I'm having to go somewhere, which is not uncommon, KFC if some Fortune 5 says come here, you as a small business go there. You start packing right then.
Right.
You're just glad they called. But if someone like an individual just wanted to come to me, just like and say, I'm a small business guy, I want to just be comfortable speaking, reading, doing this. That it generally takes me about 4 weeks working with that person once a week to get them through it. And generally, it's like do it like this over the web or whatever. It's like $550. And that's not bad. Now, if you're talking about big corporations, obviously, day rates and all kinds of complexities apply, all depending on, what we're working on, for them, whether we're saving them, 20 seconds a day on 200,000 drive-through transactions.
Right.
That's not going to be $550.
Well, and let me say, well, listen, honestly, it makes sense to me on all points that you would look at what the economic benefit is to the business that you're assisting, right? And let that drive the cost of what you're doing. So, listen, if I know that what I'm about to do for you is going to make you $100 million, you better believe I'm going to charge you a nice percentage of that. And if you didn't, I would think you a bad businessman. So I get it. But what you're saying is that you will work with smalls. You'll meet them where they are, and you come up with some mutually beneficial economic strategy on payment and that type of thing. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, because we don't know who's going to call you as a result of this video. There could be some smalls that, if they're smart enough, they're very early in their growth trajectory. But then, of course, there's also those that are mature and they can afford it, afford to pay a full rate. But ultimately, what I do know about Will Adams is that he understands that smalls have to start somewhere. And so what you'll get with his firm, as opposed to most other firms out there that may do something similar to what he does, is you're going to get a kindred spirit from a small business and entrepreneurial mindset. He understands where you started because he started at the same place. So one of the things I wanted to give you an opportunity to close on was to, of course, we're going to put all this information out on the public when we publish the video. But I want to give you the opportunity to tell everyone out here how to contact you. Give them your information, your URL, the whole 9 yards, whatever you want to say, before we close.
Well, you can contact us at radiojoe.net. That is our website. We've been up on the web for, I think, since 1997. We were one of the first, commercial audio companies to do that. And you can go to info@radiojoe.net or will@radiojoe.net. You can contact me directly. And, we have a whole range of things that we do. And we are, I get it, being a small business person. And, we have to hunt in packs. We can't be in the business of eating our own kind. We've got to pull together. Like I said, hunt in packs, and when we can, then we can be very, very successful. It's just that simple.
Right. I totally agree. It's amazing that you say that, because I just watched what was it, the Jurassic Park. My favorite dinosaur was the Velociraptor, mainly because they hunted in packs intelligently, and they attacked their prey and took down very large prey as a result of operating intelligently together. And I think that is the best representation of what smalls have to be today, because let's face it, it's so much more competitive today than it was even 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And at the end of the day, you need every tool in the toolbox to expand not only your own personal brand, but also to expand the brands of the firms that you are affiliated with. And it's starting to take hold. It's a process, but it's starting to take hold. And so Will Adams and his firm are and represent, I think, a strong part of any small business's value proposition if they are sincerely trying to grow. Okay, all right. So here's what we got. Next week, we are going to be interviewing Al Spinks. Al Spinks is a former government contractor, and I'm not going to say too much here about him, but it's along the same central theme of executives being empowered intellectually as well as in communicative skills, so that you can represent yourself as a small business in the same fashion that a Fortune 500 company CEO would do. And we want to make sure that that you don't lose any business at all because of a lack of that capability. The other thing is we're going to be discussing various topics in the coming weeks in regards to financing, making sure that you understand the different options and preparing for those options for funding the growth of your business, which is very, very important. But then some operational issues we're going to talk about quite a bit. So without further ado, Will, is there anything else you want to say to our audience before we sign off?
Just find the niche. Find the niche, understand it, go after it, and communicate with that demographic in that niche, and you'll be okay. It's all just about building relationships and finding that niche. You can do it.
All right. Well, enough said. Will Adams, thank you so much, sir, for your time this afternoon. And we're signing off, Kandid Conversation, and we'll see you next week. You guys have a productive week. Take care.